Former Governor Larry Hogan is back on the national stage, saying that he wants to see more compromise between Washington and state governments.
If you just argue and everybody's yelling at each other on cable news, then you're not going to get anything done.
Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost was at that event in D.C. today. She looks into his comments and why some say he's setting the stage for another campaign.
Former Governor Larry Hogan hasn't been shy about sharing his opinions on social media about what lawmakers and the current governor have been up to. But when we caught up with him after a panel in Washington, D.C., he seemed to be a little more tight-lipped about his future political plans. Inside the Pew Research Center in Washington, D.C.
Please join me in welcoming Governor Bullock, Governor Hogan, and Ms. Willis.
Two former governors from opposite sides of the aisle coming together to talk about why they believe it's important to work together.
You can't get anything done unless you're willing to listen to the other side.
Yeah, look, I hope it's not this bygone period where two washed-up former governors are saying, look, this is the way it used to work.
Yeah,
like
back in the day.
We respected one another, right?
Steve Bullock from Montana, a Democrat, and Larry Hogan, a Republican from Maryland. The two both serving as chairs of the National Governors Association back-to-back and say working with the people you may not always agree with is the best way to serve the people in your state, which is why Hogan says governors often have the ground-level view of what works best for accomplishing the goals. But he says it comes with sticking with your priorities.
If you just argue and everybody's yelling at each other on cable news, then you're not going to get anything done. Even if you're tempted, I think finding a way to focus on the issues and the solutions to the problems.
I think he's gearing up to challenge Westmore.
Events like this are a way for Hogan to keep his name in the headlines, according to political analyst John Deedy, especially as the possibility of another run for governor continues to swirl.
He's the only game in town. Westmore can be beaten only really by Larry Hogan.
Deedy says Hogan's previous run for U.S. Senate, where he lost to Democrat Angela Alsobrooks, drew attention and money from around the country. And if Hogan runs for governor again, the same thing is likely.
I think there's going to be a lot of national money into this race because Democrats are going to want to preserve Westmore's political viability, too. And I think that that's where it's going to be a high. If people thought that Alsobrooks and Hogan and David Trone spent a lot of money, it's going to be a lot more than even that race because of the fact that for Republicans, knocking off Moore would be seen as a big feather in the cap.
Hogan did not use Governor Westmore's name specifically.
Governors can't afford to just make speeches and spew rhetoric all day.
And after the event, we caught up with him to ask a few questions, including if some of his comments were about the current leader of Maryland. Sounded like you were laying the groundwork for maybe what's next.
I saw a little smirk when she offered, like if you were governor.
You say governors can't, they got to do more than make speeches. Is that a swipe?
I'm enjoying retirement and talking about bipartisanship.
And then what?
That's keeping me pretty happy right now, spending time with the family and grandkids, doing a little business.
The former governor not interested in giving specifics about what his next plans will be, but he's not shy about staying in the conversation either. Deedy says he would expect Larry Hogan to make a decision about potentially jumping into the race by sometime this fall. But if lawmakers do return to Annapolis for a special session, he says that could complicate that timeline. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.